Merry Christmas, gentlemen, and what a way to top off the last 2 days of festivities, KJ, with a brilliant second half performance, a brilliant comeback, and Rasmus no longer waiting for a miracle.
You know what, kid? Let Cam go because I'm lost for words. I don't know what to flipping say about that performance. Flipping out. Cam go, man. Let me think.
Hey. All right. Well, that was dope. It was a good game. Realistically, I don't think we were as bad in the first half as some people were saying. I think we weren't great, but there were signs like outside of Villa's 2 set pieces, which set pieces for me, Jesus Christ, like we there's times where I'm like, why are we even giving away corners? Like, don't do it. It's basically a goal almost every time, it feels like. Outside of those set pieces, they didn't really threaten us. One thing I will say, I've been hard on Rasmus, and I'll keep to 2 things in the game that I saw, and before I get in the positive is, if he had timed his run properly, he gets the goal instead of Garnacho. Just saying, like, Rashford wasn't looking for Garnacho, he just put it in a dangerous area, and it was whoever got there first. But regardless, we move. I was really impressed with how we look. So this is the thing. Erik ten Hag's been messing up because of his own faults. You see Eriksen and Bruno in midfield, and we look completely different. Mainoo, I love the kid. We just have balance when we have a proper creator beside Bruno, because we all know what Bruno is. Like, Bruno's the Hollywood passer. He's going to he's going to try to create. He's going to do whatever he can. He's going to take the wild shots. He's going to do the things that people get mad at him for. But when you have a person like Eriksen beside him who doesn't do all that shit, who makes the right plays, who looks for the right passes, who it hides it all. No one talks about Bruno. Like, Bruno looked great today because he's beside somebody who balances him out. And that's something we desperately need. Even, like, there's a lot of balance on the pitch today. You look at Delo with Rashford on the left-hand side, look great. Like, Rashford, I think the benching's over. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think he shouldn't be on the bench anymore. Garnacho should be moved to the right. You said it in your preamble. Garnacho looks way better on the right because he can use his left foot and his right foot. He was cutting in. He was looking fantastic. Every time we move forward, we were dangerous when it was Rashford and Garnacho on either side. There's pace. You knew there was power, and there's quality on each side. So you're kind of sitting there going, someone's going to do something from one of these sides. When it's Antony, you're like, okay, as soon as the ball goes to him, we're done. That's the problem. As soon as the ball goes to Antony, we're dead on that side. So you don't even need a good right back, which we've been crying out for when it's Garnacho on that side, because you don't actually need to worry about the overlap and someone getting in across, because Garnacho can do it. So the second half, we were phenomenal, and it's kind of Erik ten Hag getting out of his own way. Like, I get Rashford had to sit on the bench, but now it's time to figure that out. I think with the midfield, you cannot start Scott. I'm sorry, like, that's it. He scored you the goals. Do not start Scott for the rest of the season. I hope Eriksen can stay fit. If you can find somebody in January, you probably won't. That would be decent. Bring them in for the midfield. Mainoo, that's it. His blooding in period's over. He should be starting. So we're starting to see now the players who should be there. Our defense is still suspect. The second goal was on both defenders, Evans and Varane. No idea what they were doing. I think our defense is still suspect in the middle there, knowing our options are Maguire, Varane, who looks like he doesn't really want to be here anymore. And then you think about Johnny Evans, who great block today, but the man's 36. There's a few moments where I thought he was dead out there on his feet. All in all, though, to break it down, I think we played a great game. I think the second half, I said to my boys going into the half, we're going to tie this game. To, like, some of my betting, I'm like, we're going to at least get a draw here, because it felt that we were threatening. When I look at Rasmus, though, I'm happy he got that goal. And I think
we'll come on to Rasmus in a minute. I want to go back to one of your earlier talking points. Eriksen today. Yeah. And I think that he had one of those games where I don't necessarily look at him and go, like, he dictated everything and he wasn't the standout. He was like the gravy on a roast dinner, like the gravy on your Christmas dinner. You could have the nice meat, you could have the veg, everything could be perfect. But without the gravy, it isn't going to taste the same. And he, as you say, he balanced out Bruno. It's the best Bruno performance I've seen in a long time. It's because he's in that team. But McTominay can't do any of that. Can't do any of it. And it brings the team absolutely alive. And I know he's been out injured, so that doesn't help the manager. But this is where I look at him now and say, not only do you need to play him when fit, but at the same time, you know what you need to go and buy. If you're staying here as manager, is more ball-playing midfielders who are better at retaining the ball. And if you could find someone like Eriksen, who's also got the athleticism as well, because that's still what we lacked in this team. There's still a lack of speed and pace at times for us to damage people with. But I do agree with you. I think he really helped change Manchester United today. What did you make of the midfield combination that we saw today, KJ, with McTominay dropping out?
It's been what we've been calling for the last month and a half. Like we realized very early on that this McTominay, making the midfield around McTominay is just never going to work. He's not consistent enough. He doesn't score enough goals. He can do it every now and then, but he doesn't control the game. He's not a dominant physical force in the midfield either. So there's so many different reasons why you shouldn't have McTominay as your main piece in the midfield, and having Mainoo and Eriksen in there, it was a breath of fresh air. The first half, I don't want to chat about it, but in that second half, if we're just gonna highlight that half in just isolation, that is what you want to see from that midfield. Kobe Mainoo was cleaning up. And the thing is, when he would win the ball back, he was just passing it and delivering it to the right areas. And that's what I love about the kid. Plus Eriksen, who's a bit more expansive than Mainoo at this moment in point in time, making some really good balls. I can deal with that. That's the midfield balance that we've been needing. Now you've got Amrabat, you've got Casemiro, and you've got Mount. When they all come back, then we got to see again what this midfield potential could look like. But all I'm going to say is this. Kobe Mainoo is the one that we should be planning around. Full stop. I know you can say that's a lot of pressure for a young kid. You can't play every game. And I'm not saying play him every game, but start your planning from now to be, all right, cool. How do we get the best out of this young man when he plays for Manchester United? Because he's the future. He had athleticism. Yeah, he can read the game. He can play. He's got the composure on the kid. He's amazing. And when you've got Eriksen and Bruno next to him, he can just do his game, and you're not too worried because you know you've got a ball playing player in Eriksen next to him, and you've got an advanced playmaker in Bruno, so he doesn't have to feel like he has to do everything. That's what happened with Pogba. Pogba, we made him do everything. He has to defend, he has to pass and dictate, and he has to score goals. This is what balance can look like. We need better players for it. We need better than Eriksen. We need better than Bruno. We need better than Mainoo to help him. But I can deal with that kind of midfield. I can deal with. I don't need to see Scott McTominay starting midfield ever again at Manchester United. It's done. Like, please.
Yeah. And I understand. Look, I think Mainoo is someone that we have to look at as a serious player for the here and here and now and the future. We have to improve on what Eriksen is in the market. But you saw a template, we're a better team with an Eriksen in our side. And I like Scott McTominay. I don't dislike him. He works hard for the club. He runs. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. And I love all of that. And I don't mind what he came on and did today. I think when he first came on, it was an element of we need a winning goal. So let's bring him onto the pitch. I think that's where you utilize him. Yes, even if he comes on and scored another brace today and we win, doesn't mean you start him for the next 4, 5, 6 games. We need to be smart. We need to be clever. We need to understand who is of the right level and who is not. But I thought, again, I agree with you. I think young Mainoo was excellent today and just got better as the game went on. And I'm glad the manager is now playing him more regularly because we are never going to know if he's good enough unless he's tested. We're never going to know he's good enough without playing him on a more regular basis. And we did that today. So, yeah, someone here says, stop it, Terry. McTominay is not good enough. Now, again, sometimes I don't think you guys listen. That's exactly what I just said. So I don't mind him coming on as an impact sub, filling a few holes every now and then, but starting him week in, week out, he's never going to be of that level, in my personal opinion. Before we move on to Rasmus, I wanted to ask you both about Garnacho today because, again, he's had a lot of criticism recently for a young man. Moved on to that right-hand side today, KJ. Come up with a brace. Had some brilliant moments in the game, really run the show for us today against a very good and successful team this year. What did you make of young Garnacho's performance?
That's what we've been wanting from him and all of our attackers all season. Just constant threat. Just be a constant threat. Look like you're going to be scoring goals. Score goals, but also look like you're going to create something. And he did that today. And I'm very, very pleased with his performance today. His first goal. Hey, listen, he's in a desperate place. He's just trying to make sure that he gets into the spot to score the goal. So he's offside. Yeah, he took it well. But then he kept going, and that's what we needed. He just kept going and going. In the last few weeks, his head will go down. All of our attackers' heads will go down, and we don't get anything. Today he showed that he can do something for the team. Keep him out on the right hand side. We too often with our younger players, when they do well, we start moving them around all over the place. We've seen it with Rashford, we've seen it with McTominay, we've seen it with Pogba, we've seen it with all these players that come through United. We've seen this get moved around. Stop moving him around. I know he may want to be a left winger, but just keep him on the right. Mold him into a right winger that we need. And then occasionally play on the left-hand side because he does more for us on that side. He switches his game up way more than Rashford does, way more than Ante does on the right-hand side. He's trying to create, he's trying to score, and he's direct. And he can actually beat a man on the outside when he's on the right-hand side, which is really important for us to do. So he's been good, man. We just need that consistency. We just need some more performances like this and better ones as well, because they weren't perfect. More better performances from him as well. And we've got a good player. We've got a very decent player. He's been gone through a lot of criticism, and I understand it. But young players are going to be inconsistent. So we need to support him in that sense. Go and make the right-hand side your own. That's what I would say. Mold him into the player that you need him to be on there.
What do you make of him on the right-hand side? Is this something which you think it maybe just worked today, or is this something you think the manager should now work on to improve for United moving forward?
You don't have another choice if you're the manager, in my opinion. Like, we've seen Rashford on the right. It's not it. Rashford is better on the left. Like, as much as people like to drag Rashford and come down on him, he's a better player than Garnacho at this stage in their careers. In a few years, could Garnacho be better? Yeah, probably. It's possible, but people forget he's 19, right? So I think he's 19, or is he 20 yet? Has he turned 20 yet? He's still 19.
19 year around now.
Yeah, he's still 19, right? So I've never really come down on him when he's not playing well, because I kind of, it's hard to. You can't expect somebody who he's already overachieved, in my opinion, in his age bracket for a player playing at United as early he's been thrust into the situation he's been in. I think the manager, to answer your question fully, should be focusing on, okay, if this, from what I'm seeing here, from how I'm seeing how he played on the right, could we turn him into a proper right winger who can play both sides? He can do left or right. If you have a better left winger, then you play the better left winger, right? And right now, he's, out of all of our options, easily the best on the right-hand side. His runs, his pace, like, the kid is rapid. He is so fast. And he had a few moments where he showed power today. There was that one moment where he, I can't remember who it was, but it was a good ball from Delo, and he dropped his man, and it was just shrugged him off, and he went and he kept his head on. He went on to score it. I think the moments that we need to, and this would be the Rasmus thing, is he sometimes, when he's feeling himself, he's not looking for anybody else. And as a winger, you got to look for people all the time, even when you're on. So the second goal saved him, because he doesn't score that second goal. All everybody's talking about is him not passing to Rasmus for the other one. But he's always getting into the right positions. If you look at today, he was like, even the offside goal, right? He was modelly. He mistimed his run a bit, but that he was perfectly, for me, in the right position in that moment. So I'm loving him on the right side. I think every time I've seen him play on the right-hand side, I've always thought, why don't we do more of this? Like, every single time. He's done it a few times, and we go back to Anthony, and I was like, just play him there and keep Rashford in his proper position, because we just know trying Rashford up top, moving him left, right, that's not him. So, yeah, man, I want to see him there for the foreseeable future, and you have Anthony, who you can bring off the bench when he's tired or cramping up.
Yeah, to see out games and be a right wing back. That's
what exactly, because that's what he does well. He tracks back.
Anthony came on, won the ball back brilliantly, and you're like, drive at the goal and shoot, and then he tries to square it back.
He falls over himself and stuff.
It was annoying. I like Garnacho. I really, really, really liked Garnacho on the left, on the right hand side today. I felt two things when he cut. It isn't just our players that do it. Our wingers have been out of form. I've seen this with Arsenal a lot this year. It's become predictable what wingers at the moment do. They all cut into their strongest foot. And I actually want to see more go. I just want to see my team go more on the outside. I don't know how much work defenders are doing on fullbacks are doing on defending players going on their outside, because most clubs use an inverted winger. So there's an element of trying to catch teams out a little bit here. Of course, they'll learn that we're doing it after a while, but I want to see that experiment, if you want to call it that. Secondly, I feel as a young player, as he's learning his game and he's being nurtured, it's easier to go on your outside and use your stronger foot. Equally, he can still cut in on his left and use that if he wants to shoot, but it might encourage him to go on the outside a bit more regularly, because today he should have squared the ball at least twice to Rasmus, who was in good positions, or Bruno that was coming in. So I want to see that area of him improve, but he just gave us balance today. He really gave us balance today, which I think for me was important. We have been so heavily weighted on that left-hand side now for 5, 6, 7 years. It almost makes us predictable. If we could get to, and I thought Sancho was going to be this for us, and I'm still gutted it hasn't worked out with him. But what I've been screaming for a while is I want to be strong, dangerous, and potent down both flanks. I want to have 2 wide players, just like Liverpool did at their pomp with Mane and Salah. Now, I'm not claiming Garnacho is on their level, but the example I would give is that danger. When we recently played Bayern Munich, the danger on both flanks they have. Speed, quality, directness. If we could get to that point where our left hand and our right hand side are both dangerous, and I don't think they'll get to a Bayern Munich level. I don't think we'll get to a peak Liverpool at this moment in time without buying people. But it makes us harder to guess. It makes us harder to cope against. And I saw that balance today. And as I've already said, I'm not getting carried away with this. I don't think, right, that's it now. Garnacho is going to be at this level every single game for the rest of his Man United career. But I feel like it's a benchmark for us. It's a standard bearer that, okay, well, that worked really well. What I now want to see from the manager is him stick to a lot of what worked today. We've mentioned the midfield. We've mentioned Garnacho.